Dad has cognitive issues, my son told the psychiatrist he brought to breakfast. He needs a guardian to manage his $22 million. I answered every question calmly and signed nothing. What they didn't know? I'd already passed a full evaluation at Yale, and I'd been documenting everything. My name is William Harrington. I'm 68 years old. I worked for 40 years on Wall Street, started as an analyst, ended up founding my own investment firm. Sold it for $22 million when I turned 65. Not the biggest exit in finance, but comfortable enough. You know how it is. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut. Nice house. Nothing extravagant. 5 bedrooms, a study, and a garden my late wife designed before the cancer took her. That was 8 years ago. Since then, I've kept to myself, managing my investments, making occasional donations to causes I believe in, monthly meetings with my financial advisor, weekly dinners with old colleagues, a quiet, stable life. I was preparing for a board meeting at the Children's Hospital Foundation. I've been on the board for 12 years now. When my son Gregory called, he was 42, on his 3rd failed marriage, and needed a place to stay. Just until I get back on my feet, Dad, he said. 3 months, tops. I'd heard that before, but he's my son, my only child. What was I supposed to say? 6 months became 9. 9 became a year. Gregory moved into the guest house, drove my car, used my home office, started bringing strange people over for business meetings, always with a new idea, a food delivery app, a cryptocurrency trading platform, a chain of virtual reality arcades, each one needing seed funding, each one needing my signature as guarantor, each one needing just a little more money to turn the corner. Last month, I declined to invest $50,000 in his latest venture. Something about NFTs of famous golf courses. I don't even really understand what an NFT is, to be honest, but I understand numbers, and Gregory's numbers never added up. 3 days later, my family attorney called, Richard Hoffman, been handling my affairs for 30 years. William, he said, I received some concerning documents from Gregory today. He's raising questions about your mental capacity, says you've been making erratic financial decisions. He's suggesting a competency evaluation. That was when I knew. The break in my routine wasn't Gregory moving back home. It was Gregory planning to take everything. The following week, Gregory showed up at breakfast with a stranger, thin man, nervous eyes, bad suit. Dad, this is Dr. Phillips. He's a psychiatrist, just here for a routine evaluation. Nothing to worry about. Dr. Phillips sat across from me at the dining table. The same table where I'd helped Gregory with his homework, where I'd celebrated his college acceptance, where I'd written checks to cover his first 2 divorces. Mr. Harrington, can you tell me what day it is? Dr. Phillips asked, not looking up from his notepad. It's Tuesday, October 8th. And who is the current president? Of the United States? Or of my foundation? I asked. He didn't smile. The questions continued. Basic at first, then oddly specific about my investment decisions. When I mentioned my monthly donation to the Children's Hospital, $25,000, same as always, he wrote something down. When I explained my decision not to invest in Gregory's golf course NFTs, he wrote more. Mr. Harrington, do you often refuse to help your family financially? He asked. I don't consider due diligence to be a refusal, I replied. Gregory interrupted. See what I mean, Doctor? He's becoming paranoid about money, thinks everyone's out to get him. Dr. Phillips nodded. I've seen this pattern before in elderly patients, financial anxiety manifesting as suspicion toward loved ones. Gregory put his hand on my shoulder. It's okay, Dad. We're going to get you some help. I looked at my son's hand, the Rolex I'd given him for his 40th birthday, paid $1,800 for it. He'd tried to sell it last month on eBay. I caught the listing by accident. I think we have what we need, Dr. Phillips said, closing his notepad. I'll prepare my evaluation. The next day, Gregory presented me with guardianship papers, legal documents declaring me mentally incompetent, unable to manage my affairs, requiring a guardian him to make all financial and medical decisions. It's just a precaution, Dad, Gregory said. You've worked so hard all your life. I can't let you throw it all away now because of cognitive issues. I took the papers, 40 pages of legal language designed to strip me of everything I'd built. You'll still live here, of course, Gregory continued. Nothing will change in your daily life. I'll just handle the business side of things, the investments, the properties, the trust. It's a lot of pressure for someone your age. I looked at my son, Harvard Business School dropout, 3 failed marriages, 0 successful businesses, looking to manage 22 million of my money. I'd like some time to review these, I said, my voice calm, and I'd like to discuss them with Richard. Richard is actually the one who drafted them, Gregory lied smoothly. He agrees this is the best course of action. But sure, take your time. We can finalize everything next week. I've already scheduled a meeting with the trust administrators for Friday. What my son didn't know, what my son couldn't possibly know, was that I'd been documenting his behavior since the day he moved in, keeping a detailed log of his loan requests, his late-night visitors, his attempts to access my computer, and most importantly, my own neurological evaluation from Dr. Keller at Yale New Haven, completed just 2 months earlier, declaring me cognitively intact, with above-average executive function for a man of any age. When Gregory left the house that afternoon, I didn't yell, didn't throw things, didn't call him to scream accusations. I sat in my study and opened the bottom drawer of my desk, removed a leather-bound journal, wrote, Day 347, formal guardianship attempt initiated, falsified psychiatric evaluation. Meeting with trust administrators scheduled for Friday. Then I called Richard Hoffman directly. Gregory told me, you drafted these guardianship documents, I said without greeting. What documents? Richard asked. William, I would never prepare something like that without consulting you first. You know that. That's what I thought, I replied. I need to see you tomorrow. My house. 9 a.m. And Richard, don't tell Gregory you're coming. I hung up and made 3 more calls to Dr. Keller, my neurologist, to Barbara Chen, my financial advisor, to Michael Patel, the head of security at my bank. Each conversation was brief, just the facts, just the plan. That night at dinner, Gregory was cheerful, talking about renovations he wanted to make to the house. The kitchen is so outdated, Dad. And that master bathroom, it's straight out of the 90s. Once we get everything transferred over, I'm thinking we do a complete remodel. Maybe $300,000. It'll increase the property value. I nodded, ate my salmon, asked for the salt. Have you looked over those papers? He asked casually. Started to, I said. Lot to digest. Don't stress yourself about the legal jargon, he said. That's what I'm here for now. To take these burdens off your shoulders. I looked at my son, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, to throw a baseball, to balance a checkbook. Now a man trying to steal everything from me. I appreciate your concern, I said quietly. That night, I didn't sleep, not from worry, from preparation. I gathered bank statements, email correspondence, security camera footage from my home system, the video showing Gregory bringing 2 strangers into my home office at 2 a.m. last month, trying to access my computer. I organized it all chronologically, made copies, stored the originals in my safe deposit box the next morning before Richard arrived. Richard was shocked when I showed him the guardianship papers. This is unconscionable, he said, and that psychiatric evaluation is clearly bogus. No reputable doctor would make a competency determination in a single breakfast conversation. Gregory's been planning this for months, I said. The constant requests for money, the business proposals that never materialize. He's been laying groundwork, making it look like I'm declining. Richard nodded. What do you want to do? What I wanted was simple. Not revenge, not drama, just clarity, irrefutable clarity. I've been documenting everything, I explained, showing Richard my journal, every loan request, every unauthorized use of my credit cards, every attempt to access my financial information. I pulled out Dr. Keller's neurological assessment, The full cognitive battery 2 months ago. Perfect scores across the board. Richard reviewed the report. This is comprehensive. Dr. Keller is well respected too. His evaluation would carry significant weight. I want you to contact the trust administrators, I said. Tell them I'll attend Gregory's meeting on Friday, but I'd like you there as well, and Dr. Keller and Barbara Chen. You're not confronting Gregory before then? No, I said. I'm giving him exactly what he expects, an old man too confused to see what's happening, because that's what Gregory was counting on, that I'd be too proud to admit he was trying to take advantage of me, too embarrassed to document his betrayal, too sentimental to hold my own son accountable. But I'm not just his father. I'm a man who spent 4 decades evaluating risk and sensing deception, a man who built a business by seeing patterns others missed, by acting on data, not emotion. That afternoon, I called my bank, requested detailed records of all account activities for the past year, obtained video footage of Gregory using my ATM card, the one I'd given him for emergencies only, to withdraw $1,000 every Friday for 3 months. I contacted the family Dr. Gregory claimed was concerned about my health. Dr. Miller had no idea what I was talking about, had never discussed my cognitive status with Gregory, agreed to provide a written statement confirming this. I even reached out to Gregory's ex-wife, Jennifer. We hadn't spoken since the divorce 5 years ago, but she wasn't surprised by my call. He tried something similar with my father, she said. After our wedding, convinced him to add Gregory as a signatory on his accounts for estate planning purposes, emptied 2 of them before Dad caught on. Would you be willing to provide a statement to that effect? I asked. I've been waiting for someone to ask, Jennifer replied. By Thursday night, I had compiled everything. Digital records, financial statements, medical evaluations, witness testimonies, all organized in a simple black binder, all damning, all irrefutable. Gregory came home late, smelling of expensive scotch. A big day tomorrow, Dad, he said, his words slightly slurred. Don't worry about a thing. I'll handle everything. I know you will, I replied. Friday morning, Gregory insisted on driving. You seem a little shaky today, Dad. Better let me take the wheel. I didn't argue, just got into the passenger seat of my own car, placed my black binder on my lap. What's that? Gregory asked, nodding at the binder. Just some financial information I thought might be helpful, I said. You didn't need to bring anything, Gregory said, a slight edge in his voice. Like I said, I'll handle everything. Force of habit, I replied. 40 years of preparation dies hard. The trust administrator's office was downtown, 20th floor, glass and steel, views of the harbor. Gregory had arranged for us to use the main conference room. He'd told them we needed privacy for a sensitive family financial transition. What he didn't know was that I'd called ahead, spoken to Thomas Wilson, the head administrator, known him for 15 years, served on 2 non-profit boards with him, explained exactly what was happening. Do you want security present, William? Thomas had asked. No, I'd replied. Just a witness, someone impartial. We arrived 30 minutes early. Gregory's idea, we should get settled before everyone else arrives, he said. Everyone else? I asked innocently. I thought it was just us and the administrators. Gregory hesitated. Well, Dr. Phillips will be joining us to explain his evaluation, and I've asked my attorney to stop by. Standard procedure. I nodded, said nothing about Richard or Dr. Keller or Barbara Chen, all scheduled to arrive exactly at 10 a.m. We were escorted to the conference room. Gregory immediately took the seat at the head of the table, started arranging papers, practiced his concerned son expression in the reflection of the window. At 9:45, a young woman entered. Mr. Harrington, there's a Dr. Keller here to see you. Gregory's head snapped up. Doctor who? My neurologist, I explained calmly. I thought his input might be valuable. Before Gregory could object, Dr. Keller entered, followed immediately by Richard, then Barbara Chen, then Thomas Wilson and 2 other trust administrators. What is this? Gregory asked, his voice tight. "Dad, we agreed I would review the guardianship papers," I said. "I've reviewed them, and I've invited some additional perspectives." Gregory composed himself quickly, tried to take control. "Everyone, thank you for coming. We're here today because my father has been experiencing some cognitive difficulties." "Actually, Dr. Keller interrupted. "I evaluated Mr. Harrington extensively just 2 months ago. I found no cognitive impairment whatsoever. In fact, his executive function testing placed him in the 92nd percentile for men of any age." Gregory blinked. "I'm sorry, but Dr. Phillips spent 20 minutes with me over breakfast," I said. "Dr. Keller spent 8 hours over 3 sessions using standardized assessment protocols." The room fell silent. Gregory looked around, realized he was losing control of the narrative. "There's clearly been some miscommunication," he said. "I was only acting out of concern." "Your concern is noted," Richard said, opening a folder. "However, these guardianship papers were prepared without proper medical evidence and without consulting Mr. Harrington's established legal counsel. They have no valid legal basis. Furthermore," Barbara Chen added, "as Mr. Harrington's financial advisor, I can confirm that all his investment decisions have been entirely sound. His portfolio has outperformed market benchmarks by 3.2% annually over the past 5 years. Gregory's attorney, a nervous young man who had just arrived, was frantically flipping through papers, clearly hadn't been briefed on the situation. Thomas Wilson cleared his throat. "As trustee, I should inform everyone that any transfer of control over Mr. Harrington's assets would require clear evidence of incapacity, which appears to be entirely absent." Gregory was sweating now. The perfect Windsor knot in his tie suddenly looked too tight. "Dad," he tried again, his voice lower. "This is all a misunderstanding. I was only trying to protect you. That's when I opened my black binder. I appreciate your concern for my welfare," I said, sliding the binder to the center of the table. So I'd like to share some information that might help clarify the situation." One by one, I removed documents from the binder. First, bank statements showing Gregory's unauthorized withdrawals, then credit card statements with charges for expensive restaurants, designer clothes, and hotel stays, all made when Gregory claimed to be networking for new business opportunities. "You gave me permission to use those cards," Gregory protested. "And for household expenses only," I corrected. "Is the Four Seasons in Miami a household expense?" Next came printouts of emails Gregory had sent to a realtor, inquiring about luxury properties in Aspen. "Once my father's assets are transferred to my control," one email read, "I'll have access to approximately 20 million in liquid capital." Gregory's face drained of color. "How did you get those?" "You used my computer," I said simply. "You never logged out of your email?" The room was completely silent now. Even Gregory's attorney had stopped shuffling papers. I continued methodically. "Produced the video footage of Gregory entering my home office at night. The statement from Dr. Miller disputing ever having concerns about my cognitive health. The testimonial from Gregory's ex-wife about similar attempts with her father." "William," Richard said softly, "there's enough evidence here to pursue legal action for attempted fraud and financial exploitation of an elder." Gregory's attorney stood up. "I think we need to take a break." "I'm not finished," I said, my voice still calm. "The final document I presented was a letter from the Ethics Committee of the State Medical Board acknowledging receipt of my complaint against Dr. Phillips for conducting an improper competency evaluation and potentially conspiring to commit fraud. That's a copy," I explained. "The original was delivered yesterday." Gregory stared at me. I could see the calculations running behind his eyes, looking for an angle, a way out, a story that could explain all this away. "Dad," he finally said, "I made some mistakes. I've been under financial pressure. But I never intended—" "I'm not interested in intentions," I interrupted. "Only actions." Thomas Wilson spoke up. "Mr. Harrington, do you intend to pursue criminal charges?" All eyes turned to me. including Gregory's. His were wide, frightened. "No," I said after a moment. "I don't believe that will be necessary." Gregory exhaled audibly. "However," I continued, "I am making immediate changes to my estate plan, and I'll require Gregory to vacate my property by the end of the month." "Dad, please. The apartment lease on 3rd Avenue is paid through December," I said. "After that, you're on your own." Richard made notes. Barbara nodded approvingly. Dr. Keller remained professional, but couldn't hide a small smile of satisfaction. Gregory's attorney gathered his papers. "I think we're done here. One more thing," I said, removing a final document from the binder. A check for $10,000. I slid it across the table to Gregory. "What's this?" he asked, confused. "Enough to start over," I said. "One time, no strings, no second chances." Gregory stared at the check, then at me. For a moment, I saw a flash of the little boy who used to run to me when he skinned his knee, who trusted me to fix everything. "You can always earn my respect back," I told him quietly, "but you can never regain my trust." He took the check, looked around the room once more, then walked out without another word. The next few weeks were quiet. Gregory moved out that weekend, took only his personal belongings, left behind the Rolex, the credit cards, the keys to my car. Dr. Phillips had his license suspended pending investigation. Turned out Gregory had paid him $5,000 for the fraudulent evaluation, not much considering what was at stake. Almost insulting, really. Richard helped me revise my estate plan. Most of my assets would now go to the Children's Hospital Foundation, the remainder to a scholarship fund at Gregory's old high school. Nothing directly to Gregory. "Are you sure about this?" Richard asked, as I signed the documents. "I'm sure," I replied. "Money is what started this. Money won't fix it." Barbara Chen implemented new security protocols for all my accounts. 2-factor authentication, biometric verification, instant alerts for any unusual activity. I received a letter from Gregory 2 months later, postmarked New York, said he was seeing a therapist, taking responsibility for his actions, asked if we could talk sometime. I didn't respond. 6 months passed. I heard through mutual friends that Gregory had found a job, entry-level position at an insurance company, was living within his means for the first time in decades. 1 year after the meeting, I received another letter, this one different. No excuses, no requests, just an acknowledgement of what he'd done, and 4 words at the end: "I'm sorry, you deserved better." I kept the letter, still haven't replied. Thomas Wilson called last week, said Gregory had applied for a loan at another bank, listed me as a reference. The bank called Thomas instead, given our financial connection. "What should I tell them?" Thomas asked. "Tell them the truth," I said. "All of it. Gregory didn't get the loan." Some would call that harsh. Maybe it is. But 40 years in finance taught me that actions have consequences, that integrity, once broken, is nearly impossible to restore, that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them feel the full weight of their decisions. My house is quiet now, sometimes too quiet. I've started having dinner with friends more often, joined another non-profit board, even dated a little, though nothing serious. Last month, I increased my annual donation to the Children's Hospital to $500,000, enough to fund a new pediatric research position. They offered to name it after me. I declined. "Name it after someone who needs to be remembered," I said. "I'm still here." Yesterday was my 70th birthday. I celebrated alone, by choice. Had dinner at my favorite restaurant downtown. The owner knows me, always gives me the corner table by the window. As I was finishing my coffee, I saw Gregory outside. He didn't see me, was walking with a woman I didn't recognize, holding hands, laughing about something. He looked different, thinner, grayer, but somehow more substantial, like a man who finally understood his own weight in the world. For a moment, I considered inviting him in, introducing myself to the woman, asking about his job, his life, his plans. I didn't. Some bridges, once burned, should stay that way. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but because crossing back would disrespect the lesson that burning them taught. I paid my bill, left through the kitchen to avoid being seen, drove home in the quiet dark. My financial advisor called this morning. My investments are up 7% this quarter. The trust is secure, my legacy protected. Gregory's birthday is next month. I've already bought a card, haven't decided yet if I'll send it. That's the thing about consequences. They don't ask permission to linger. They don't apologize for their duration. They simply exist, reminding us that every choice we make shapes who we become. I don't regret holding Gregory accountable. I regret that it was necessary. Some nights I sit in my study and wonder where I failed as a father, what lesson I didn't teach, what example I didn't set. But those thoughts lead nowhere useful. We are all, in the end, responsible for our own actions, children included, fathers too. If there's wisdom in any of this, it's simple. Trust is earned daily but can be lost in an instant. Money magnifies character. It doesn't create it. And sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal isn't outrage, but quiet, methodical clarity. I still keep that journal, still make entries. Force of habit now. Today's will be short. Day 792. Saw Gregory. Looked well. Didn't speak. Perhaps one day I'll write, spoke to Gregory. Began again. But not today. Trust, once fractured, doesn't heal cleanly. It leaves fault lines, invisible to others, visible always to those who felt it break.